My name is Robert. I'm 83 years old. I'm recording this because I don't know how much time I have left to say it, and because I've been carrying something for most of my life that I never put into words. I never told them I was afraid to. Not my children, not my wife, not anyone who needed to hear it. I grew up in a house where fear wasn't something you talked about. My father came back from the war different, quieter. He didn't explain things. He just expected you to know how to handle yourself, to be strong, to not ask too many questions. So I learned early that being a man meant not showing what was happening inside you. I thought that's what protection looked like. When I became a father, I did the same thing. My son was 7 the first time I saw real fear in his eyes. We were at the lake. He'd gone out too far on the dock and slipped. I pulled him out, and he clung to me, shaking, asking if he was going to be okay. I told him he was fine, that there was nothing to be afraid of, that he needed to be braver next time. I didn't hold him long enough. I didn't tell him that I used to be afraid of the water too, that I still was a little, that fear doesn't make you weak, it just means you're human. I thought I was teaching him strength. My daughter was different, sensitive. She felt everything too much, my wife used to say. She'd come to me with worries about school, about friends, about whether people liked her, and every time I'd tell her the same thing. Don't worry so much, you'll be fine, just keep your head up. I thought I was helping her, toughening her up for a world that wouldn't be gentle. But what I was really doing was teaching her that her feelings were a problem, that being afraid meant something was wrong with her. She stopped coming to me after a while. I remember one night when she was maybe 15. She'd had a hard day at school. I don't even remember what it was about, but she sat at the dinner table and didn't say a word. My wife asked her what was wrong and she just shook her head. Later, I heard her crying in her room. I stood outside the door. My hand was on the handle, but I didn't go in. I told myself she needed space, that she'd be fine, that if I went in there and made a big deal out of it, I'd just make it worse. The truth is, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to sit with someone else's fear when I'd spent my whole life pretending I didn't have my own. My wife knew. She always knew. There were nights I'd wake up in a sweat, heart pounding, thinking about money or work or whether I was doing enough, whether I was enough. She'd reach over in the dark and put her hand on my chest. She never asked me what was wrong. I think she knew I wouldn't say it. But she stayed there, hand on my chest, breathing with me until I fell back asleep. I never thanked her for that. I never told her that I was afraid of failing, afraid of not being able to provide, afraid that one day everyone would see through me and realize I didn't actually know what I was doing. I thought keeping it to myself was strength. The years went by. My son grew up, got married, had kids of his own. He doesn't call much. When he does, the conversations are short, surface level. We talk about the weather, about work, about nothing that matters. I don't blame him. I taught him that's how men talk to each other. A few years ago, he went through a divorce. I heard about it from my daughter, not from him. When I finally called him, he said he was fine, that he was handling it. I told him I was glad to hear it, that he'd get through it. I didn't ask him how he was really doing. I didn't tell him that I knew what it felt like to feel like you'd failed at something that mattered, that I'd been there too, in my own way. I didn't tell him I was proud of him just for showing up every day, because I didn't know how. My lives across the country now. She has a good life, a partner who loves her, a job she cares about. But there's a distance between us that I don't know how to close. She's kind when we talk, polite, but I can feel it. The years of not being seen, not being met where she was. A few months ago, she told me she'd started therapy. She said it was helping her understand some things about herself, about where she learned to hide. She didn't say it was because of me, but I knew. I think about that night outside her door a lot. If I'd just gone in, if I'd sat on the edge of her bed and said, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. If I told her that I was scared too sometimes, that I didn't always have the answers, that it was okay to feel too much, maybe things would be different. I was afraid of being seen as weak, afraid that if I admitted I didn't have it all together, I wouldn't be able to protect them. But what I didn't understand, what I'm only just now beginning to see, is that they didn't need me to be perfect. They needed me to be human. They needed to know that fear was normal, that struggling was part of life, that they weren't alone in it, and I never gave them that. I kept my fear locked up so tightly that I made them feel like theirs was something to be ashamed of. I thought I was being strong, but I was just being alone, and I taught them to be alone too. The years went by. My wife passed away 2 years ago. In the last few months when she was sick, she got quieter, but also softer somehow, more willing to say the things she'd always kept to herself. One night she looked at me and said, "You were always so afraid of letting us down." I didn't know what to say. She squeezed my hand. "I just wish you'd known we already loved you. You didn't have to carry it all by yourself." That was the closest I ever came to breaking. I think about her words almost every day now. I sit in this house, in the silence, and I think about all the moments I could have been honest, all the times I could have said, "I'm scared too," to my son, to my daughter, to my wife. I thought admitting it would make me smaller, but keeping it inside just made the distance bigger. I don't know if my kids think about this the way I do. Maybe they've moved on. Maybe they've made peace with who I was or wasn't. But I think about it. I think about the kind of father I wanted to be, and the kind I actually was. And I wonder what would have happened if I'd just been a little more honest. I'm not recording this to tell anyone what to do. I don't have advice. I don't have answers. I just know that hiding your fear doesn't protect the people you love. It just makes them think they have to hide theirs too. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt like you had to be strong for everyone else, like showing fear would make you less, I don't know. Maybe just know that the people who love you don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be there. Really there. I'm 83, and I'm still learning that it's okay to be afraid. I just wish I'd learned it sooner. If this meant something to you, I'd be grateful if you'd leave a comment, or just sit with it for a minute. Thank you for listening.